Welcome. We are on day 17 of the 21-day Family Connections experiment. I cannot believe how fast this has been going. We are bringing you a live interview on a Saturday, and I am just so excited about who we have here with us today. She is my good friend, Miya Jensen. Miya Jensen is a professional genealogist who specializes in Polynesian and oceanic research. I met her last year while doing a season for family, and I just love her passion for family history and all her knowledge. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Terilyn.
Hello, welcome.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much for joining us here today. How about you start by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, hi, everybody. My name is Mia, just like Terilyn was saying. My full name is Miyamoto Loretta Jensen. I was born and raised in Laie, Hawaii, um, the best place ever. And I'm the oldest of five children. My parents are Joe and Melissa Wilson. My dad, he's full Samoan, and my mom is Hawaiian, Japanese, German, and French. And so naturally, I came from a very diverse background. And growing up in Hawaii, that's all I ever saw. So I graduated from Kamehameha Schools, Kapala, my campus, as an all Hawaiian high school. Then I traveled all the way out here to Utah, and I eventually came to family history, and I saw that BYU had a program in family history work. And with my I was just so passionate about it, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. So I majored in it, and I specialize in Polynesian genealogy and Oceania genealogy. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. Nice to see y'all here.
Yeah, I love it. What a journey.
Thank
Um,
you.
we have, it looks like we have Claudia joining us.
Hi,
Welcome,
Claudia.
Claudia. Go ahead, everyone, tell us where you're from. And if you have any questions for
Yes.
Mia, answer them. She is ready to answer. And I have lots of questions for her too. Um, so you have a degree in family history. I'm so
Yes.
jealous. I want to go back and do that.
You can. You should.
I think that's so awesome.
Thank you.
What are some? We'll start with some of just basic questions. What are
Sure.
some of your favorite ways to do family history?
Oh, that's a great question. So I love doing, I was trained professionally right at BYU. So I love the nitty gritty of getting down into records. I love searching online, especially with the pandemic now. That's all I can really do. So I love looking online. But before that, I loved going to the family history library, looking through microfilms. But another fun thing that I love to do with family history work is interviewing people. So I love talking to people in my family. That's not just my side. I'm married, so I love talking to people on my husband's side too. So yeah, interviewing is super fun. I just love it. I love talking to people. So yeah, those are just a few things I love to do with family history work. It's awesome.
I love that. The whole spectrum. When the family
hmm
history library opens, I will meet
hmm
you there.
Yes, let's
We
all
can
go. It's gonna be a party.
we're gonna camp out so we can look at our microfish again. Like
Yes,
I cannot wait to get back in there.
me
So it's fun
too.
to talk to someone else who loves that nitty gritty research too.
Yeah.
Um, but just as important as what we like to do about family history, I'm excited that we get to talk about your why. Like, why do you do family history? And
hmm
we've kind of been chatting about this all week, which I absolutely love. And now we get to share it with all of you.
hmm
So tell us, what is your family history why?
Yeah. So, um, yeah, like you were saying, you and I have been talking this whole week about my why with family history work. And my why is all about healing. And I say that because I know that all of us, we all have problems. We all have things that we go through, like trials and hardships. And some of those hardships have come from our families,
Mhm.
whether they're the ones causing it or the ones that have been experiencing it from others. All of us have something that we need to work on and to heal from. And I truly believe that family history work is one of the most powerful ways to do that. And that healing comes from connection. So that's the link between healing and family history work, is having these connections with our ancestors and with our own living family members and with ourselves. Having those connections really brings about a greater understanding of who we are, gives us more empathy, gives us resilience, and a resolve to change maybe what has been hard and wrong in our families. And so I just I'm just very passionate about that and I know that it's true and it's real and I've experienced it myself, and that's why I will always advocate for family history work as a means of being able to heal ourselves.
Hmm. I think that is so important because, like with the experiment, we've talked a lot about how family history can bring us joy, family history can be happy,
Which is
but
true, yes.
it's true. But a
Uh-huh.
big part of that is addressing the hard stories and the sad stories because, like you said, no one has a perfectly rosy family tree. Um, we all have the hard stories there, and so I love how you address that and how we can find that healing. I think that's fantastic. And one of the ways you've been addressing that is through an Instagram challenge you did last week.
Yes.
I was following along and like taking notes, and I loved it. So how about tell us a little bit more about the initiative you did on Instagram and the inspiration behind it.
Thank you. Yeah, so the initiative, I have my phone right here just to make sure I remember everything that I
Perfect.
said, that I did. But the initiative is called Bypoc Family History Initiative. So Bypoc stands for Black, Indigenous, People of Color. And the reason why I decided to name it this and make this the initiative, the head, the title of the initiative, is because, so I initially, just to back it up a bit, I initially got my emphasis in Polynesian genealogy because I recognized very quickly in the industry how there wasn't much representation that I wanted to see personally in it. And so I was like,
Mhm.
well, I'm going to do this then. I want to help bring recognition to my people and further research because I think that is something that they need. And then in thinking of this initiative and being inspired by the 21 Days Connection experiment, I was like, it'd be really cool if we did something that that highlighted BIPOC family history work. And but I want to make the point too that this wasn't just to focus mainly on BIPOC people. It was to bring representation to them and also bring awareness to everybody else. There was no exclusivity, so anybody could participate in it, whether you are from a BIPOC family or not. Everybody is has linkage to different groups of people and races no matter what. And so I truly believe that is something that everybody can learn from. So the initiative was 10 challenges where I let it out on Instagram, and I started, what was it, October 5th, I believe, last Monday. So
Mhm.
where I issued a challenge every single day. And did you want me to go over some of the challenges? Is that what you
Yes,
wanted me
that
to do?
was my
Okay.
next question, actually. I was
Okay.
going to say, what
Yeah.
are some of the challenges and your
Perfect.
favorite parts from those?
Awesome. Yeah. Perfect
Perfect.
segue. Thanks, Taylor.
Yes.
So, challenge number one, well, it was hard trying to figure out what the challenges should be, but the challenge number one that I found was to gather support. So, initially, when we do family history work, just like Tara Lynn was saying, sometimes it's not the happiest or most joyful because we do face things in our families that are difficult and they can be very heartbreaking, triggering. And so when it comes to doing your research, it's so important to have a support system. So, a group of people, or even just one person that you love and you trust, and they love and trust you, that you can always turn to when you find difficult things in your family history work. And it's just to encourage everybody to have a buddy and to have someone that they can rely upon, especially when things are really heavy emotionally and mentally. And so that was challenge number one. Number two um, was about looking at BIPOC family history through BIPOC lenses. So I know that there are many wonderful historians and researchers in the world who are very passionate about different cultures other than their own. And although those are wonderful and those are great and even credited, I think it's very important to see historical perspective through people who've actually gone through it, or people who
Mhm.
are descendants from actual BIPOC history. And so that was just to encourage people just to think outside of the box a little bit more in their research. And
Right.
then, yeah, and I it's not always easy, but sometimes when it comes to knowing BIPOC history, it means even speaking to people in your community, living resources, living history
Mm.
around you, and interviewing them and asking them these questions. And I'll just share two more that I really loved. Um, One was about, let's see, was identifying generational trauma and generational shame. And
Mhm.
this is a heavy subject where it basically means that when an event happens or something traumatic happens in one's life, the effects of it can be passed down generation after generation. And in family history work, especially me as a professional, I recognize this all the time when I do research on families and individuals. It's like it's pretty out there. You know, when I look through records, I find evidence with divorce, with abuse, with addiction, alcoholism, you name it. And so this challenge is mainly about recognizing what those things are in your own family and then choosing to do something about it. So, as powerful as it is that trauma can be passed down, there's this overlying theme, though, that we all have the power to stop these things from being passed down and to bring about generational healing, right? This whole
I
narrative
love
and
that.
this theme of healing. Thank you. And we can be that healer in our families and ultimately be a good ancestor now. And that's the last challenge. That's one of the other challenges that I just absolutely loved was encouraging everybody to realize that what we do today has an effect on our posterity and generations to come. So be a good ancestor now. Choose to do good. And that good can be as simple as saying hello to a stranger, telling someone that you love them, giving a high five, or writing in your journal, taking pictures. It's all up to us. We can do whatever we want. That is good to be a good ancestor now. So, yeah, that's just a
Mhm.
little overview of the challenges and the initiative. It was wonderful. It was wonderful. So, thank you so much for asking.
Oh, so many good things. I love that be a good ancestor now. Like I want
Hmm.
that on my mirror or like a bumper
Yes.
sticker or something.
Right, yeah,
Um,
it's powerful. It's a powerful mantra. And it was Layla
yeah,
Saad. If anybody knows Layla Saad, she is a wonderful author and
right. Yeah.
writer. She's the one that coined it. So she's the one that has the credit, just letting you know.
Oh,
But
that's
yeah,
good. Well, she should like sell buttons or something because that's
seriously.
fantastic. I love that.
Thank
And
you.
I feel like looking at it that way, it gives us power. Like we can have the power to start the process and to be the change. I think that is so important. Oh, there were so many good parts of the challenge.
Thank
Um,
you.
so, oh, I think you mentioned, yeah, you might have mentioned, and if you didn't, we'll start it now.
Yeah.
In your challenge, you talked about ancestral perspective.
Oh, yes.
And so, how has understanding ancestral perspective helped with healing in your own life, and how can it help others as well?
Ooh, great question. So, just a little background on what ancestral perspective is. So, it is basically taking the time to understand how our ancestors viewed the world, how they saw things in their everyday lives, and recognizing it, and then try to learn as much as you can about it. So, that's what the challenge was initially about. And I chose that challenge because I have been changed by learning my ancestors' perspective of life and namely about the way they view time and space. And so, the way my ancestors in Oceania viewed time was they had the past in front of them and then the future was behind them. Whereas out here in the West, it's completely different, where
Yeah.
it's the opposite, where the future is in front of us and we are kind of leaving the past behind, right? But when I learned this about my ancestors, I was kind of like, okay, I don't understand what this means. But
Yeah.
as I consulted with some other professionals in Oceania research and history and anthropology, my friends helped me to understand that the our ancestors believed that when let's say for example, like I'm driving down the road, right? And
Mhm.
if I want to see something, it's usually in front of me, right? But if I can't see something, then I have to use a rear view mirror to see behind me.
Mhm.
Okay? So that's kind of like the future. All of us can make plans as much as we want about the future, but is it always the way we want it to be? No. Like
Nope.
usually it's not. And that's what frustrates me about future planning sometimes, but that's another whole nother story. But I think that when it comes to learning about or trying to understand the future, we really can't see it and we can't see it clearly. But what has happened, what is the past, we can see clearly because it's already come to pass. It's in front of us. So we can study and learn as much as of the history with resources, with books, and with what our ancestors have left behind. So that means, again, the past is in front of us and the future is behind us. And as we take the time to learn about our ancestors, learn from them, not so much dwell in the past or be hung up in what's happened in the past, but again, learn from them, learn from the mistakes, the good things they did, the bad, that we can prepare ourselves for the future, that we can prepare for what we cannot see. And so, again, we are moving into the past, and the future will be made manifest and come in front of us. And so,
Mhm.
that understanding again has changed my life and helped me to realize that not only are my ancestors' stories important to learn from, but that what I, let's see, how do I say this? What I do is sorry, what I do is
Good.
significantly important, and my connection to them means too that I'm never alone, that they are always there to show me the way. Kind of like the movie Moana, right? Has everyone
Uh-huh.
seen Moana? I love that movie,
Mhm.
right? Okay.
So
So
good.
when Moana is going through her journey, like after she had a little fight in Tiff with Maui, she's left alone in the ocean, and her grandmother appears in front of her and helps to guide her and show her the rest of the way to finish her journey and fulfill her destiny. And so that same concept is again what I've learned about ancestral perspective, and it applies to everything in my life now. And again, like I said, it's changed me. So learning these things are powerful. It is just so, and it's beautiful too. And for me, when I finally recognized that too, I just felt this almost awakening. It was like a, again, it was a connection that brought about this healing for me and gave me a deeper sense of who I was and where I came from. And so, yeah, everybody should do it.
Yeah.
Everybody should learn about, just even if it's just one ancestral perspective, like how did they see the stars? Like what was so important about the stars to them? For my ancestors, it was a tool for navigation, and also it was physical representation that their ancestors were still alive and well, and guiding them and showing them the way, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah, just really great stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, I'm like so fascinated by that perspective with the future is in front of us, or no, the future
Is behind us
is
and the
behind
past
us
is in
and the
front of
past
us.
is in front. I
Mhm.
think we need like a to put a but we need a video of this. Like
Yeah.
I can totally like visualize it in my
Mhm.
head. And I just think it's a beautiful and a very like insightful concept. And
Thank you.
it makes sense because I mean the
It
past is
does.
it's happened a lot. There are a lot of knowns, and as genealogists, we're gonna try to find out those unknowns. So
That's right.
we just keep chipping away at it.
Mhm.
Um, oh yeah, that's just fascinating. I love that.
Thank you.
Um, let's see. Oh, I have so many questions just because I'm so excited about
Sure,
everything you're
yeah.
doing. Um,
you.
so we've talked a bit about, the hard things. We've got the difficult parts of our family history. Are there tools that you like recommend or tips you have for kind of moving through this difficult family history?
Sure.
Whether
That's
we're recording it or just
discovering
trying to
it.
discover it, what do
Yeah.
you suggest?
Right. So another great question. So I always recommend again, it falls back to challenge number one on having support. So when you find these difficult things in your family history and are they cause some very deep and emotional and mental heartache and reaction, it's always good to have someone that you can rely on and talk to, that is part of your support system. But another resource too is, I truly believe that going to someone who is a professional like a therapist or a psychologist can really help you walk through these things as well, to help you realize that you're not alone, and they would be the ones to give you the necessary tools to help you understand what to do and how to address these issues. And as a disclaimer, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a professional in that field. Though I believe in it and it's completely fascinating. But in my Instagram challenges too, I created a giant list of resources for especially our BIPOC people, and those included therapists who specialize in BIPOC therapy and psychology as well. There's some support groups there too. There are some other websites dedicated to specific tribes of Native people and Indigenous people too. So if you want, you can take a look on my Instagram. I have that list there on my link in bio. So those are wonderful places too. And yeah, all in all, I love telling people though that no matter what, that you're not alone in going through these things and in experiencing this, that you are not alone, and that there's so many people out there who have gone through or are going through similar experiences to yours. And so just remembering that and recognizing that, I think will especially help you through learning about these hard things. And you're not supposed to go through this alone either. So please don't isolate yourself, and please don't think again that you are by yourself in any of this. So yeah, great question.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love that, especially in modern times. I feel like family history is more of a team sport now. We don't have to do it
Yes.
ourselves. We don't have
It's
to
a
go through it
collaborative effort.
alone.
Yes, it's a collaborative effort all the way. And I love that too. I mean, as a professional, and a lot of other professionals that I know would say this too, we do like to research alone. Like, it's kind of our thing where we're like, when we're in the zone, we like to just like be in the zone and be left alone. But, you know, that shouldn't be the case though when it comes to these difficult and trying discoveries in our family history work. So, again,
Yeah.
you're not alone.
Yeah. There's power in support and collaboration
Yes.
and therapy.
Yes.
Therapy
Yes.
helps. I
You need
think.
help, go to
Um,
therapy. Nothing wrong with that. Big
yeah,
fan.
good. It's good to do, and I'm glad that there's more research being done into epigenetics and like
Yeah,
generational
epigenetics.
trauma and all of that. It's just so important, so important. Um, for my
Yeah.
next question, why do you feel that capturing and preserving our own current stories are important? I think this was a part of the challenge as well. I mean, we're in the middle of kind of a crazy pandemic now. Why is it important that we're doing our part to record our own memories?
Yeah. So again, it goes back, like you're saying, it goes back to the initiative with the challenge of being a good ancestor now. Um, it's having this awareness called genealogical consciousness. I know those are kind of big words, but it's basically the same thing, and understanding that what we do or what we don't do has a direct impact on our future posterity. And it's in our power to do something good, especially. And so, um, I love writing down my stories and my experiences because I love reflecting on them years later and seeing, okay, yeah, well, I was kind of stupid when I did this. I'm glad I learned from this. Or, just it's so powerful recognizing my own progress and my growth. And it's also powerful to recognize that when I went through these difficult or even good experiences, I did have people there who loved me and supported me. And even it's good too to recognize when I didn't have those as well. It brings back this greater sense of empathy for not only my past self, but also those who were with me or who were not with me in that time. And it gives me a greater understanding too and gratitude for life and for, again, for the experiences that have come my way. I love life. Like I know things are difficult right now, but I've just recently I realized I this is the happiest I've been in years. And I think it's mainly because I've been able to garner stronger connections with those that I love the most, my husband and our son, with family members and friends. Even if it's not me being with them in person, it's these kinds of experiences I don't want to forget. And so, again, writing these things down are so important. And and then on the flip side too, as a genealogist, I appreciate when people have written things down, recorded their
Mhm.
lives, because it's like a gold mine when I'm like, I found their journal or something. I found their
Yeah.
writing that tell me about, there's only so much that a census record can tell you. There's only so much that a death record could
Mhm.
tell you. But man, those very personal and intimate things that you find that have been left behind by an ancestor or a loved one, it's invaluable. There's nothing that can trump that or replace it. And so, again, be a good ancestor now. Give those gifts of yourself, all of it, the authentic self, the good, the bad, the hard, the soft, everything. Just give all of that to your family because they will be so blessed because you did this for them, and they will love you and they will have this personal connection with you. And and again, it's this understanding that who we are is beyond what we are right now. We are the living and present embodiment of all of our ancestors right now. And we will also, when we have posterity, or even if it's not through our own children, nieces and nephews, cousins, you name it, they will have the living embodiment of us. And it is important for them to know that we are in them, that we love them, and that we're there to support them through whatever life has to offer to them, too. So, yeah, there's just so much. Yeah, just please just do something. And it can be in any way that you want it to. My sister is a photographer. She loves to take pictures. That's how she records snapshots of her life. So just make it personal. Do you. There's no
Yeah.
right way. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah, and I just think that's so fantastic. You can do it in the way that's comfortable for you. You
Mhm.
can do a little, you can do a lot. I know
Yep.
sometimes it kind of feels daunting, like, oh, I have to write like a life story or something. It's like, no, just write a little. Because I have a couple ancestors. Like, if I could even find a line about them, I
Mhm.
would be doing, cartwheels.
Right.
I would be so happy. So even if we can just, even if we can just leave a couple lines or maybe more,
Mhm.
I'm sure our descendants will be happy about it.
They'll
I
be
I
so
need to work
happy.
on that. I get sucked into the research. I got to do
Oh, you're
my
good.
own
Me too.
story. um and oh, let's see. So much good, so many good things. Um and well, I think this is kind of a good question for the end. We've
Yeah.
mentioned a lot about being a good ancestor now, right?
Mhm.
Do
Yep.
you have any other thoughts about ways we can be a good ancestor now? We've talked about like capturing our stories, talking with our elders. Is there anything else you'd like to elaborate with that?
Yeah. So, being a good ancestor now ultimately is self care. And I know there's this big movement now of taking care of ourselves and how important that is, recognizing that we matter too, and that we can only give up so much of ourselves when we take the time to take care of ourselves. So, again, family history work is self care. It really is self care. Being a good ancestor now is self care. And for me personally, um, again, and thinking of outside of the box when being a good ancestor, it for me it also involves just um, moving my body, exercising, eating good, and doing those little things that help me to not only extend my life and make me healthier, but um, it brings about a lot of goodness for myself, and it helps my mind and my heart and my soul. So that's one way I'm trying to be a good ancestor now. Again, it's self care. For me too,
Mm-hmm.
doing my hair and my makeup, it's a huge deal because sometimes I'm like, I work from home, and when we have meetings, a lot of times I just keep my camera off because I didn't take the time to take care of myself like I should have. But when I do those little things for myself, it is perpetuating this idea that I am trying to be a good ancestor for myself and for my family now. They need me to be the best that I can be, and I can only do that if I do these things for myself. So again, there's a comment about from Irish about therapy. Therapy is crucial, and think of it as a tool in your toolbox. Absolutely. It is, and it has to be when we go through and we struggle with our mental health. There's no shame about it. And that is a form of wonderful self care for you now and for our families later. I have my family, we struggle with some mental health issues too. And it's been this current generation in time with myself and my siblings and cousins too that we have been the ones to really advocate for going to therapy and getting help. For us, there's no shame. We're just like, well, yeah, my therapist was talking to me about this the other day. And it's like, yeah, we have no problem bringing it up and talking about it and addressing, you know, things that have been toxic in our family histories for a while. Um, Again, there's so much power in doing that. That was a form of self care to take care of issues now for us so that they won't happen again later. And I would not want to pass down these hard things. Do we unintentionally do that sometimes? Yeah. So, in some ways, you may think like it's inevitable. Maybe. But again, all of us have so much power within us to do good, make things better now. Why not do it? Why not? Like there's no reason why we can't and shouldn't do the best that we can to be the best that we can be for the best of the future of our posterity. Again, there's just so much we can do, and I will always advocate for that. Always shout on the rooftops for it, and I hope that everybody else will join in on this too and recognize this. And ultimately, this is what brings me the most joy is finding the healing for myself and for my ancestors and for my future posterity. That's where the true joy comes in understanding those connections, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual connections that we have within ourselves to our ancestors and to our future, our posterity. So, yes, 21 Days Connections Experiment is all about making those connections to ultimately bring everybody to that space of healing. And that's what me and thousands of other genealogists and other people around the world are advocating for. So join in with us. There's space for everybody, no matter what, no matter where you come from, who you are, where you've been, what you're doing now. There's space for every single person at this table. And there's only more joy when more come to the table. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I love that so much. I love your enthusiasm for family history, and I
Thank
love how
you.
real you are about it too. You're not sugarcoating it. Like
No.
you're very like real and authentic, and I think that's why I love talking with you
Oh,
because
thank you.
it's the real deal. And I feel
I'm
like,
the
so
real
Katie's
deal.
been watching, and
Hi, Katie.
it just goes right along with what you said. Each generation has the ability to be better than the one before. And
Amen.
yeah, all these tools we've been discussing, tools, ideas, inspiration. I think that just
Yes.
all ties into it. And so much good stuff. I think I've said that like 6 times. So much good stuff.
That's what's up.
But yes,
Good stuff.
that's how I feel. Just
Thank you.
as we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to add that we haven't addressed or talked about? Just a surprise question there at the end.
That is a surprise question. um, yeah.
I was
okay,
like, you've
so
covered it all so
yeah, I was gonna say like,
already.
oh, thank you. I just think, just do the best you can. That's about it, and that I'm rooting for you. You can count me as part of your support system. Challenge number 1, hit me up, ask me, and be like, yes, I got you. I got your back. So I just thank you everybody for being here. Those who are here now and those who will be here later. Shout out to you, Terralyn, and everybody else involved with the 21 Days Family Connections experiment. I think that what you guys are doing and that what everybody else is doing is a wonderful effort to bring awareness and also representation to family history work. We're on the right track, and I'm excited to see where things go. So feel free to join me too on Instagram. My name is Miya Jensen, Miyamoto Loretta Jensen, the Polynesian Genealogist. And and if you're in America, register to vote. Go vote. So I think that's the last thing that's on my mind. Be a good ancestor now. Go vote. Look, I voted. So I have my sticker. Boom. Go vote.
Awesome. I have to turn mine in today. I filled it out last night. So now I'm gonna run it down today.
Yes.
So I put your Instagram handle there.
Yes.
We can totally keep the conversation going. You need to go follow Miya. You do lives like regularly,
yes, I do.
right?
Yes, I do.
So if you love what she had to say, which I know you do because I love it so much, you need to come on over and keep it going. Not only, inspiration. Oh, I don't know if we mentioned you work for Family Search too, right?
I do. Holla to Family Search.
I don't know how I missed that at the beginning. So she knows her stuff. She's in the research, but she's also in the healing and the stories, the complete package. I love it.
Thank you.
Go and follow her there.
Yeah, follow me.
And we will wrap this up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
This has been wonderful. For everyone watching, our next interview is going to be Monday at 11 a.m. With one of our partners, Shopbox. It's on my Christmas list. I got to get one.
Yeah.
We're going to hear more about their story and all the fun things that you could do with it. So will everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you all later.
Party safely.